The owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
All right, everyone. With all the censorship and everything going around recently, and the DNC saying how they want to basically oversee private text messages for misinformation and things like that, you have this out of the Financial Times today. And don't forget, by the way, to sign up to them. And apparently, you can save exactly 33%. Wink, wink, right? Everywhere you look, it's something. Apple plans to scan U.S. iPhones for child abuse imagery. So, yeah, obviously this has nothing to do with the stopping of the exploitation of children and everything to do with just surveilling your private devices. And yes, I know owning a cell phone inherently means that you're paying for your own surveillance. I'm just making a point, right? Apple intends to install software on American iPhones to scan for child abuse imagery, according to people briefed on its plans, raising alarm among security researchers who warn that it could open the door to surveillance of millions of people's personal devices. Yeah, that's the point. Apple detailed its proposed system known as Neural Match to some U.S. academics this week. According to two security researchers briefed on the virtual meeting, the plans could be publicized more widely as soon as this week, they said. The automated system would proactively alert a team of human reviewers if it believes illegal imagery is detected, who would then contact law enforcement if the material can be verified. The scheme will initially roll out only in the US. Obviously not, it's going to be everywhere. Apple declined to comment. Of course they did. The proposals are Apple's attempt to find a compromise between its own promise to protect customers' privacy and then deliberately violating their privacy, I guess, right? The tension between tech companies such as Apple and Facebook, which have defended their increasing use of encryption in their products and services, the law enforcement has only intensified since the iPhone maker went to court with the FBI in 2016 over access to a terror suspect's iPhone following a shooting in San Bernardino, California. So, using a false flag as a justification to overreach, basically, and they said no. Supposedly. Probably didn't. It's just one of those fluff pieces to make it think like you have someone out there who's fighting against the government and, we're not just giving our records up. Of course you are. It is absolutely an appalling idea because it is going to lead to distributed bulk surveillance of our phones and laptops, said Ross Anderson, professor of security engineering at the University of Cambridge. Obviously. Although the system is currently trained to spot child sex abuse, it could be adapted to scan for any other targeted imagery and text. For instance, terror beheadings or anti-government signs at protests, say researchers. Apple's precedent could also increase pressure on other tech companies to use similar techniques, which they are and have been. This will break the dam. Governments will demand it from everyone, said Matthew Green, a security professor at Johns Hopkins University, who is believed to be the first researcher to post a tweet about the issue. What an accomplishment to have under your belt. Alex Muffet, a security researcher and privacy campaigner who formerly worked at Facebook and Deliveroo, said Apple's move was tectonic and a huge and regressive step for individual privacy. Apple are walking back privacy to enable 1984, he said. So it says cloud-based photo storage systems and social networking sites already scan for child abuse imagery, but that process becomes more complex when trying to access data stored on a personal device. So forget the cloud, they're going right in your pocket to scan whatever you got, make sure it's not on a no-no list, right? But of course it has nothing to do with stopping child pornography, obviously. And you remember this too, you've been seeing it being pushed hard. YouTube users complain about age verification requests. I think it started in the EU and now it's trickling over here, where basically they wanted you to scan your driver's license to prove that you're above age to watch whatever video has been marked for adults only, right? And they keep using children as an excuse. We got to protect the children. We got to protect the children. Obviously, they don't care about your children because they want to jam a genocidal shot into their body as quickly as they can, right? And don't forget this was off The Guardian, July, early this month. Can facial analysis technology create a child-safe internet? So again, trying to use your heartstrings, tug at them and say, well, think of the children. Obviously, it's just about surveilling you, right? Suppose you pulled out your phone this morning to post a pic to your favorite social network. Let's call it, I'm not even going to say that name, that's retarded. And were asked for a selfie before you could log on. The picture you submitted wouldn't be sent anywhere, the Surface assured you. Instead, it would use state-of-the-art machine learning techniques to work out your age. In all likelihood, once you've submitted the scan, you can continue on your merry way. If the service guessed wrong, you could appeal though that might take a little longer. The upside of all this, the social network would be able to know that you were an adult user and provide you with an experience largely free of parental controls and paternalist moderation, while children who tried to sign up would be given a restricted version of the same experience. So again, it's just trying to acquiesce you to the idea that you have to verify yourself to use a service that is supposedly something you can just use, right? So they want to create this system of control. That's all it is. Eventually, and mark my words, this is going to lead to a biometric ID to even get on the internet, right? You're going to have a microchip installed inside of you to do anything, to go to a store, to pay your bills. That's coming. That's coming very soon, right? But also the biometric ID to get online is coming very soon as well. And not a lot of people think that's going to happen, but of course it will. Of course they're going to prevent you from getting on the internet if they don't like what you think, if they don't like what you do or what you say. Of course, they'll just turn off your access to the world, right? And then they'll integrate everything to work online. So if you can't access the internet, well, you're pretty much screwed, aren't you? Right? Depending on your position, that might sound like a long overdue corrective to the Wild West tech sector, or a hopelessly restrictive attempt to achieve an impossible end, a child-safe internet. Because it is an impossible end. It's just like with the COVID cases. They say we want to get zero. There is no virus. Obviously, if there even was a virus, that wouldn't be possible. So it's an impossible goal to set at all, let alone try and go achieve, right? So it's all just blowing smoke, right? They just say, oh, we're doing this because of this, but it's really just to limit your freedoms, make you more of a slave, and make you realize it every single day. Like, hey, I'm a slave, and it's getting harder and harder to try and separate from all this stuff, right? Because they're trying to purposefully integrate it into your life. Who knows? Maybe what's his face was right, the Unabomber. Maybe all this stuff, we should have just stopped the progress years ago and just went back to the Stone Age. Who knows? But yeah, it's only going to get worse, right?